I am Tim O'Malley. I'm the CEO of Ateema Media Marketing. Thank you for coming to our first virtual planner masterclass. So welcome. We're really honored to have such a top-notch group of meeting and event planners, venues, and vendors represented here today. So a little bit about Ateema Media Marketing and the Planner Masterclass. I started Ateema in Chicago 19 years ago as a tourism marketing business, and we have a magazine called Concierge Preferred, and produce an industry trade show called the Hospitality and Tourism Summit, which had over 500 meeting and event planners attend last year. In short, today's event, the Planner Masterclass, came out of research from that Hospitality Summit. So planners told us that they needed more networking and educational opportunities, so that's what we set out to deliver. And as a result, Planner Masterclass was born. So we've been producing these events for about 2 years now. Today, again, is the first virtual edition, and last month, we're very proud that we produced the first Planner Masterclass in San Francisco. So we are now in multiple cities, which is very exciting. So based upon planner input, I can tell you a few of the principles that we built this event around. A dominant ratio of planners to vendors. Planners want to connect with other planners and discuss important industry trends, tactics, resources, and best practices. Planners want to learn in an engaging and intimate manner. Many planners want CMP credits, and planners want to meet quality vendors and venues. And so today you will notice as you move around to the virtual roundtables that the audience is a mix of all different types of meeting and event planners. The goal is to create a great blend of perspectives to enable terrific conversations and networking opportunities for you. So we hope you learn some new tactics, you walk away with some great ideas and enjoy meeting your peers and hopefully some great new vendor partners as well. So if today's program brings you value, we have a number of other upcoming events that may be of interest to you. So Thursday of this week, we're doing a virtual panel discussion entitled COVID-19 Communication Strategy for Your Business. We will have 4 of the top local PR company represented. So Carol Fox, Noreen Heron, Janet Isabelli. Excited about that. Next Tuesday, we're doing a virtual panel discussion entitled COVID-19 Marketing Strategies. Next Tuesday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. with a Daniel Thomas from Time Zone 1 and Rob Grusin from Point B Communications, as well as a couple of professors from NU, from Northwestern, in their marketing group. So we're excited about that. We're going to try something fun and different on Friday, April 24th, Feel Good Friday. It's going to be a combination of 3 sort of uplifting individuals and their stories. So Jen Kramer, Ron Kittle, the former White Sox, and Johnny Vincent, who Keisha, you know. He sings the national anthem for the Cubs and does a bunch of other things. So we're real excited about that. You'll get details on all these things. A virtual panel discussion, state of the industry. We're working on dates right now. An actual masterclass. So we're scheduled for June 10th, 2020 at the old post office. Depending on what rules and regulations are rolled out by the city and state between now and then, those plans might change. But right now, the old post office, beautiful space, it's huge. We usually have 100 people, so we could have plenty of social distancing there and have a great event nonetheless. So we'll see where it goes from that standpoint. And finally, our Hospitality and Tourism Summit Chicago has been postponed. We are rescheduling it as we get more information. Ultimately, we want it to be a coming out party for the city's tourism and events communities to let the world know that we're back in business and pay attention and come visit us. So details to come on all of those things. So our agenda today is pretty simple. Welcome again. In a few minutes, we'll kick off the afternoon with a special keynote presentation entitled Your Guide to Going Live, Solutions for Virtual and Hybrid Events with David Saef from Freeman. Following the keynote from Freeman, we'll hear short business updates from our partners, then break into 8 small group discussions. So at 5 or a little after, I know what you're all thinking right now. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. So I'm sure some people have already started. But at 5 or a little after, we hope you can stay with us for a virtual happy hour. Some of you were lucky enough to receive a wine glass painting kit from our friends at Live Art International. So get your wine ready for 5 o'clock. You would have got it if you had registered early. So some of our registrants happen last minute. So obviously you won't be getting that sent to your house. So I'll take a moment to thank our sponsors, Expo, our registration, Expo Pass, our registration partner, Live Art International, Skydeck, The Ledge, very fun, 4-star restaurant group, Great Wolf Lodge, Convene, Yolk, The Godfrey, Ateema, Hotel Essex, City Winery, and Blue Plate. So we've got a great group of sponsors today, and suffice to say, we couldn't do this without our generous sponsors. I'd like to introduce our speaker, David Saef. David is a leader of Freeman's strategic advisory practice for association executives, event organizers, and corporate marketers. So David has directed programs to develop multi-year event and association strategies that transform experiences. So all while doing this, all while delivering business results. So very focused on both transforming experiences and delivering the business results necessary to sustain. So we're fortunate that David will also be leading one of our virtual roundtable discussions. Please welcome David Saef, SVP of Strategy with Freeman, who will be sharing your guide to going live solutions for virtual and hybrid events. David?
Thank you very much, Tim. And let me just make sure y'all can hear me. Yep, I'm not on mute, thank God, right? So I'm gonna talk a bit, I do want interactivity and I do want chat. And look, I just posted on chat. I'm gonna watch it as I'm presenting, so you'll see me pivoting back and forth a little bit. But here's my key thing, couple of key things here. One, you're probably gonna learn 10 times as much from each other on chat and in the breakout rooms and from all of my all my peers here and facilitators as you might learn in the next 25 minutes. So please share what's going on. If you have questions, please post. And yes, the link to the presentation will be shared. You can work with Dylan and Tim, and I do want to thank them for teeing this all up because it's very, very timely. Also, I just say, look, I always say this with all meetings that I do. If we have junior members who walk in on us and they happen to look at the screen or whatever, let them look, right? Nothing's going to be, off kilter here in terms of what I communicate. But, and by the way, for live art, just want to do a little call out there for Dana and the wine glass. Like, great idea. I'm going to touch on that later because it's all about experience. So it's as much about remote as it is online, as it is about live. So let me just dive in here. And just a quick word, you heard a bit of my background from Tim. I've been around for a while, basically 18 years in the industry. I have a title, but really when I'm in this kind of setting, I call myself the chief instigator. I hope I'm going to instigate and shake up thinking and, the way we do these experiences. Freeman does have an online, a whole integrated approach to this. I'm not going to dwell on that. You can see some of the statistics of some of the work that we've done, that we're doing. And so it has been a very, very interesting time. Now, I would say the last 4 weeks have been interesting, and they have. But for those of you who are in the Chicago area or Wisconsin, we've had snow on the East Coast. Hopefully you don't have any downed trees on power lines and things. Obviously, we've got COVID. I mean, it's a crazy time. So here's what I'm not going to talk about. So, when do we usually start with what I'm not going to talk about? So I'm not going to talk about an event platform. So if you're going to go and look at a live event platform, and most of you respond to the pre-event survey said you're interested, you're going to do something. There are various platforms. Like I said, we've got one, but this isn't going to be a nuts and bolts comparison of platforms. Some people are going to say, how fast can you launch your virtual event? You can do it fairly quickly. I will say the most popular and well-known platforms have been inundated, as you might imagine. And so I'll touch on this later as well, but I'd be very careful to ask the question, do you have bandwidth? Do you have like kind of resource bandwidth to launch my event. We've heard people who want to launch in 7 days. Yes, it's possible. But really, when we talk to folks and we know about other players in the industry, the typical lead time right now is about 8 to 10 weeks because of the just demand, not just from the event part of the industry, but also from corporations doing their own events. Some of these other questions, yes, I'm happy to field those questions, but I want to take a step back and really talk about the best way to think about this online channel and a multi-channel approach. So yes, if you have specific questions to this, happy to answer it. But I think I want to give you the lay the groundwork for succeeding in complementing either what you're already doing in an on-site. By the way, live is a really tricky word. On-site is live, online is live. So when you go online, it's still live. So I think of it as on-site online as opposed to live and virtual. Virtual is a weird word. It's very 2008. So, I kind of look at that as a multi-channel strategy. World's changed. Don't need to tell everybody this. We know we're going online with experiences. We have more funny stories. We're seeing all the late night hosts are trying different formats. Interesting to see what you all think on chat about Saturday Night Live. If you watch some of the skits. And by the way, I went in and I looked at like what were the funniest skits because it was like a typical Saturday Night Live. So if you haven't seen, go see the Zoom skit with Kate McKinnon. Very, very funny. Some other things, Pete Davidson didn't quite get it with I think it was a Keisha or whatever video. But go look at some of what the late night hosts are doing. It's very, very clever. They're experimenting like the rest of us. But the one thing I really like about what I see is it's all about authenticity. It's about connecting and it's about interacting. And so we obviously have to adapt to this. Again, let's bear in mind that while we're online, there is a remote experience that we can have. I'm going to touch on that later because it's a way to engage some of your corporate audience and how they participate online. We've seen a lot of changes, right? Video conferencing is up, grocery delivery and online at classrooms, air travel, hotel occupancy is down. There is one of the roundtables that Jamie's going to lead is how we prepare for groups in a post-COVID-19 world. I mean, this is a really interesting discussion, right? In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we could see some loosening. We're going to see a loosening that's probably inconsistent across the country and across the world. So what does that mean for gatherings? So I think that's going to be a great roundtable that you all can kind of talk about and we can share as we go through the day. So I want to start with kind of this current model and current thinking because people have talked about the live experience and the virtual experience. And they obviously have different attributes where one is a limited you only get the people who are on site. It requires people an investment to attend. It's better for active learning. It's an investment, right, for the organizers. Now, we heard some clamoring even before COVID-19 when the world changed that people were looking for new formats and new things to do. We've had several clients call us up. Some of the work we do in strategy is we look at event formats. We've had several clients call us up and say, I'm ready to blow the whole thing up. What do we do when we come back to an on-site? Because I don't want to do the same old formula. So I think it's a really interesting time right now. Actually, we've had, unfortunately, with all the tragedy, we've had the gift of time to really rethink the on-site. On the virtual, there's no boundaries anymore, right? It's a global reach. Doesn't take much to attend. We're seeing some different pricing models, by the way, in the corporate space, in tech in particular, no charge for people to participate. So we're seeing more than no charge so far, but for some of the associations, the certification bodies, we're seeing much more of the charge model and a mix between corporate sponsorship and charge. We'll come back to that. It's been traditionally better for passive learning, more cheap and more in the educational methods. And yes, there's been discussion with the Virtual Edge Institute and other places about the hybrid event. So I think it's going to be much more the multi-channel, and it's more about a shared online that we're going to be able to reach broad and niche audiences through our events. We need to think about an event mix, what makes sense for either your core audience or, as we're hearing from a number of clients, hey, this is the time to go after a new geography or a new audience, a new niche that we haven't been able to come to our on-site event that we want to give a taster of, and we want to kind of get them engaged, and then we can evolve a format that makes sense for them. One big point here is the audience really does choose, right? They're going to choose how much they engage and what they do, just like you're choosing right now. And so it's really important that we keep an attendee-centric priority on how we do everything, right? And we're not competing against whether they're going to travel across the country. We're competing against whether they're going to go look at another YouTube video, or they're going to go to another chat, or they're going to spend time on our events. Very different format. I'll touch on that later. Very community-driven. The investment can be large or small. It's really around interactivity. So it's about engaging people in a different way, whether it's chat, Q&A, hosted sessions. We'll talk about kind of the formatting. And the other piece is around this Hollywoodization of the events. Now remember, probably most of us here are looking at Netflix, or we're looking at Hulu or Amazon Prime. We're shopping online. All these activities have such a great gloss to them that our events cannot look like they're 2007, right? So it's making sure, and yes, there are platforms out there that they've been around for a while, but make sure that that platform doesn't reflect what we used to think of as an online experience. You know, I hear like from clients, people say, I want to have an expo hall. An expo hall? Online? I mean, that was thinking when we first started, let's think about a different type of experience. So it's really that kind of shared online. And think about multi-format. So when we think about the different types of activities you could be doing, a lot of people say, I want to do a virtual event. My question to that is, what do you mean? What are we trying to achieve? Are you trying to do just another trade show, but you're putting it online? And why would that be as relevant as what you're doing? So just when we look at other types of platforms, you know, ESPN has obviously been the king of live. Now, it's an unfortunate headline today. They've been impacted like everybody else, and they're having both their celebrities and their production staff that are being affected. But they've created all sorts of different experiences, from sporting events to awards to interactivity to how people are helping community. But it's Hollywood driven sponsor advertisement model. NPR, great example of a podcast, multiple podcasts. Some of them are paid subscriptions, or they've been spin-offs like Serial, been paid subscriptions. Others have been sponsors like This American Life and some of the newscasts that are now in the podcast format. Streaming, so using the YouTube Live channel or Facebook Live, thinking about when to stream and how to stream. Obviously, when you stream, you get that live audience. It's instantaneous and they get that impact. The flip side is, it's how do you store that? How do you make that accessible? Or deep learning, which Netflix is a good entertainment example of Netflix. Obviously, it keeps learning about our habits and behaviors and highlighting those things we should be doing. So again, how are we creating that multi-format approach? And so I would encourage you to really think about your community and your audience, what their needs are. So the one thing, if you're going to write, by the way, one thing down, an overarching philosophy from my perspective, write down the question, what keeps you up at night? That's the question. What keeps your community up at night? What are they worried about? What are they, concerned about? What problems do they need to solve? And what's the right format? What's the right channel to connect with them? So when we think about live experiences, we're thinking about on-site, online. Chat and forums is peer-to-peer. And we're going to do a bit of that, right? Right now, you're getting a very short keynote with some key principles. Then it's going to be about an hour and a half of chat and forum to swap ideas. Podcast is all about projecting, providing interviews and expertise. And there's a great opportunity for not just the key thought leaders in your space, but using sponsored sessions to provide either new insights, new knowledge, new demos, new discussions. The streaming channel, thinking about when and how to stream. Sometimes, by the way, streaming can be its own channel. Sometimes we're seeing folks who are launching a short 10-minute stream or 2 or 3 streams leading up to an online event because they want to generate excitement. They want to get people connected and use it as an attendee acquisition vehicle. So think about your leaders, your thought leaders, and your speakers, and some of your key, really well-known folks in the industry. Can they be a hook to get more of certain segments or attendees to your online event? Then your learning library. So this is the one thing that is also really, really key. And I'm going to say it a couple of times on this remarks. Content is king, and how you capture, convey, and then catalog that content and make it accessible. The old online event was open for 3 days, shut down. You could never get back into it. The new online event thinks about how it ties back to your content hub. For some of you, you probably have a hub you can build off of. From others, you may not have a hub. It may be a LinkedIn group, or it may be some other area where you can share that content. By the way, we're having a lot of people now, particularly from the associations, are saying, or even from some corporate, but from associations, I got to go from a member-driven model to a subscription-driven model. How do I get that freemium experience? Some free content, then a gate to layered content. This, launching an online event, capturing this content, capturing the videos, this is the way to do it, is to take content from one channel and move it into another channel so you're keeping that 365, 24/7 experience going. Now, when specifically going digital, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, we've really seen 3 key things happening. Convert. I need to convert some of the things I had planned into the online channel. So for some of you, or hopefully none of you, but some of you maybe have had to make a quick decision to postpone or cancel your event. So you're thinking about, how do I convert? I've got the keynote speaker lined up, or I've got some key sessions. How do I convert that content to an online platform? One caution here, and I'll repeat it later, 60 to 90-minute sessions, don't even think about it. So if you look at the TED model, it's 18 minutes. What we are seeing from a data perspective, we collected a bunch of data across events. The average amount of time that you've got for a speaker is 35 minutes. Ironically, today, I'm going to try and keep to 25 minutes. So 25 to 35 minutes, you have 10 minutes of unadulterated attention, which I probably lost by now. And then you got another 15 to 25 minutes of additional attention before you really lose your audience. So this idea like, oh, we can do a 90-minute panel session with 4 speakers, didactic lecture, don't even think about it. You're going to lose your audience. You're going to lose your value. They're not going to go back. So how do you convert? Take the key elements. This is the other thing, by the way. No 3-day. Got to get down to 1 day, maybe a half day. Really prioritize. Don't do 1,400 tracks. So convert with priority. Creating. If you have time, it's time to create a different experience, different opportunities for corporate exhibitors and corporate participation. By the way, the word exhibitor, exhibit hall, it's not even using it anymore. Like, doesn't make any sense online. So it's all about partners and sponsors and activations. It's about experiences. How do you create those new interactivity, whether it's chat or Q&A, and innovate, bringing new ideas and new experiences to the table. So I did not get my wine glass, but by gosh, if I had my wine glass right now, I'd be lifting it, right? And having a drink before that 5:05 or whatever it is, 5 o'clock drink. Oh, by the way, I should say, listen, if you want to drink and I haven't gotten you there yet, go right ahead, right? It's your time. So, but really think about, how do we innovate? And I don't mean just online. How do you innovate remote? And then how do you innovate the on-site? Because the on-site will come back. As a colleague was talking on a team call earlier today, the one thing I think, well, I think we've all noticed, I've certainly noticed, I think we can all share, being in this mode of everyone sheltering in place and being on Zoom or MS Teams all day reminds us of how valuable the on-site and physical is to us. And so let's think about how to innovate that both online and on-site. So I've said a couple of these things, but I just want to kind of reiterate. And by the way, a lot of this is around conceptual, not platform, because a lot of people rush to platform. Should I use this platform or that platform? My argument is figure out your format, figure out and I'll show you, I'll walk you through the process here, but really figure out how you're going to make this experience work from start to finish, and then choose the right platform. A lot of people start platform first. It's a big mistake. So one thing, don't just do something because you have to. Really think about your brand, your value proposition, and what you're trying to achieve. By the way, I took off the phone with the client this morning. We're talking about doing not 1, but 3 events, because one event will be leading up, it'll be focused online to young professionals. Then one is going to be at a niche audience, and then they're doing their online event. The first 2 will be half days. The third will be 2-day. So they're using the online portfolio in different ways. They're doing some flipped learning, by the way, to also do attendee acquisition. Don't mimic the live event online. Really create a shared experience. Think about networking and matchmaking, one-on-ones or group chats. You know, we're going to go to chat in a couple of minutes here. It's a great way to break it up and get people to learn from each other. I mentioned this, 69 minutes, don't even think about it. 35 minutes with another 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A. That's the way it should be. And by the way, for all of those folks out there who have like executives board members, program committees. If you need a voice, I'm sure there are a bunch of us on this panel today. We are happy to give you that outside voice, that it can't be run the same way. It's got to be tailored to the medium, and the medium is not the on-site that we've been doing for a while. It does work in certain places, by the way, but it doesn't work online. Interactivity, demos, product launches even, great opportunities for folks online. Training. So one thing you guys might have noticed just before Tim kind of flipped the switch over to me is that I turned my light on. And so lighting matters. Understanding the medium and talking into the screen matters. We're doing a large corporate event right now. We talked about training the speakers, the executives, and the team we're working with was like, never gonna work, guys, never gonna work. We said, you know what? Without training, it's gonna fall flat. And we are getting the speakers to be more energetic, more concise, more directed, and more stage set. Now you will notice behind me, I didn't drop a background. Part of this is thinking about that balance between authenticity and having something that is projected. I just want to give you who, here I am and doing my thing. I was joking with the group earlier. I was joking only because I'm in Chicago and it's snowing today. So there it is, folks. I live in Chicago. I'm a Boston fan, and I pulled out my sled earlier today because it is snowing. So, make it fun, make it interesting, shake it up a bit. Make sure we're talking about engagement and discussion, because it's all about answering your questions and what's on your mind. We're gonna have a deep dive. I'm gonna be doing that later. And then really think about global. This is the perfect opportunity to broaden what you do, but that's a different type of attendee acquisition activity. Most of what we design is North American and English centric. And if you're ever wondering kind of what does that mean, go ask your international attendees what it's like coming to US show, where it's hard to navigate, it's hard to get into the country, it's hard to understand all the customs, the buses down to the venue, well, same thing online. If we don't have some resources for them, if we can provide some activities or at least some resources that are in language for them, it's really thinking through that activity. Also access, people want access, and this isn't just global. They want access when they want it, and they want it when they need it. And so it's thinking about providing a resource and providing that content for your community. The process. So I've touched on this, but this is the way we think about it. I mentioned earlier, it's not platform first, it's actually platform second to last. Although obviously you need to understand who your partner could be and how you're gonna work it, but it's really understanding your audience. It's understanding what their needs are and what's critical for them to learn. If you have an existing event you're trying to convert, it's prioritize. Make it punchy and make sure that you're getting your best speakers with your best content. Thinking of your corporate partners as partners, possibly speakers, possibly co-presenters, possibly thought leader content providers with a speech or an intro here and a launch of a study there, and then a destination to get the research study later. Set your objectives and come up with a point of view. Everyone is doing online events. What makes your online event different and more dynamic? By the way, one of the things that I give Dylan and Tim credit, and when I heard about this and the whole format, which was one, timely, two, I wrote down all the objectives that they talked about, right? Connect planner to vendors, connect with one another. You're going to do that in a few minutes. Learn, hopefully you're getting that. CMPs, we've already taken care of that for you. You'll get that by participating. Meet quality vendors. They didn't say drink, but that's not a bad goal too. So, but they really had in mind what the value prop is and why this is different in this format. Think about the journey, right? Map out the journey. What happens when they get in the room? How do they navigate? By the way, having a hosted session is something to think about where you've got someone managing Q&A. One other piece that a lot of people talk about is recorded versus live. 80% recorded in advance, 20% live. Why? Because the recorded, by the way, you're seeing this online with all the hosts and the TV. The SNL did this, by the way. A lot of it was recorded. Because recorded, you can obviously work to edit it. It's professionally presented. You can bundle it with live, so you can do recorded for 25 minutes, then do live Q&A. But really think about that mix and think about that journey from attendee acquisition, flip learning, get them to register, into the room, matchmaking, breakouts. Think about it as a whole journey, not just get online and then go to sessions like the old school. Design the run of show. How is it going to work? Make sure you think about that corporate participation model. By the way, getting the corporate participation model, it's not just about the branding. It is about creating remote experiences. It's about creating content thought leadership or co-presenting, but also make sure you've got the right focus on authenticity and content. Think about how you're going to market the event. That's why time is a critical piece here. And think about which is the most appropriate platform for you. Some folks just want a DIY model where you just upload a bunch of stuff and you launch it. Others want a fully integrated model. And that could also include, by the way, what happens after the event. Do you open up a pop-up shop for one or two of your big sponsors because they're creating an interesting and innovative online experience? And then measure, move fast, and monetize. I'll just say one last note on that. Monetize the data and insights. So I've gone fairly fast through this. I'm going to kind of conclude with 5 big takeaways here. Going online is fundamentally different. Don't replicate the on-site with the online. Think about the medium and think about multi-format and how your community connects multi-format. Number 3, content is king. And by the way, you're going to hear a lot. There's going to be a lot of great discussions, whether it's Katie leading us on gamification, ML thinking about virtual attendee engagement and participation, Dana thinking about using virtual events as an outlet for corporate responsibility, Mallory with current trends and boosting virtual event appeal, and Beth thinking about the new norm post-quarantine in addition to the post-COVID-19 and content is king. So really think about and talk about and ideate with peers. Monetize. You may not be able to replace dollar for dollar, but you should be able to get new experiences and new inventory of experiences with your partners. And then the user experience. It's all about the user experience. If it isn't seamless and intuitive, then they are not going to spend time on your channel. So I know I've gone probably too fast, maybe a little fast, but I hope you've got some good takeaways here. And I want to, again, thank Tim and Dylan and Ateema for the opportunity, and hope you guys learn a ton between now and the end of the day.
Thanks, David. That was very insightful, very, very good, and a great foundation for this afternoon's conversation. You had mentioned a few of the table topics that are kind of built around the foundation you just laid, and I think it's going to lead to more fruitful conversations for all of us. So again, thank you. So let's jump into our topics. Obviously, we're going to do a deep dive in what David just mentioned at his table. We're going to look at how to use virtual events as an outlet for corporate social responsibility and fundraising with Dana from Live Art International. Ideas to improve virtual attendee engagement, led by ML with Skydeck. Incorporating gamification into your virtual and hybrid events, led by Katie with Convene. Current trends in boosting your virtual event appeal with Mallory McSweeney from 4-Star. How to prepare for meetings and events after COVID-19, led by Jamie with Great Wolf Resorts. How to prepare for the new norm post-COVID-19, led by Beth Bracco from Blue Plate. And then content is king, that will be led by yours truly. So let's jump into our topics. And we're going to start by taking a minute here for each of our sponsors to introduce themselves and give a 1-minute update on their businesses. And I'd like to jump right in with, since David, we just heard from you, I'd love to hear from Dana, if you'd like to start us off.
Hi, my name's Dana Mallow. I'm the owner and CEO of Live Art International. We book and manage live performance artists in the Chicago and regional area, as well as develop and produce live art engagement products that support corporate events, nonprofit events, social, private, and so on. State of business. We lost most of our gala season, which is one of the 2 busiest times of the year for us. So right now, we are looking at hopefully picking up the pieces in September and October with the second leg of gala season for the 2020 year. And just really figuring out how far we pivot in terms of redeveloping our approach, our concepts for a virtual market, for a mail out market. So let us know what you think of the wine glass concept. And we're anxious for things to return to whatever new normal means.
Thanks, Dana. ML? ML, can you hear? Whoops. ML?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Now we can hear you. Yep.
Sorry. So thank you. I just wanted to, obviously most of you know the sky deck in the Willis Tower. You know, we are the second most popular paid attraction in Chicago right now. Well, we probably, hopefully, always. We've recently been voted for the top 10 world attraction. So besides the sky deck, and everybody knows that, we do have event space on the 99th floor of the Willis Tower. And our right is we just heard, you know, things are crazy, and we're all going to hear the same from everybody. We've lost a ton of business. We've lost all of April, all of May, mostly of June, still working on July. But I truly believe that things will come back. Most of my people are rescheduling for later in the year because they're not galas, except the, you know, obviously the convention people who won't be back until next year or the year after. So we're just holding strong. Hopefully things will come around. By the way, I love the wine glass thing. I might steal that from you. And, you know, we'll just figure out what we can do. I think, you know, pretty much that's it. It was just, you know, we can do attractions, we can do meetings, we can do private events, we can do anything you want to at SkyDeck, pretty much. We have great partners in our catering people, and we will make everything work with everything we want to do. So that's pretty much my chat.
Thanks, ML. So we're going to keep marching right through this list here. So Katie's up next, and then Mallory's on deck. And if we could keep to 1 minute overviews, that would be fantastic. Katie?
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Katie with Convene. I'm the Area Director of Sales for our soon-to-be 4 locations. So if you haven't worked with Convene or held a meeting or event there, that's what we do. We design beautifully crafted spaces for events. And we also have a line of co-working or flex office space as well that is company's permanent home. So we do our own catering, our own technology, so everything is inclusive. So you're not having to do multiple contracts. So our locations are currently closed, all 30 across the globe. We will open soon when it's safe to do so. So we're looking forward to opening our doors again.
Thanks, Katie. Mallory's up next with Jamie on deck. Mallory?
Hi, I'm Mallory McSweeney with 4-Star Restaurant Group. Right now, we, of course, are closed for events and meetings. 4 of our 9 locations are still doing delivery and carry out. So Smoke Daddy, Wicker Park, Crosby's Kitchen, Frasca, and Tuco and Blondie. And then our events and catering team, we're just kind of sitting on deck, you know, answering any inquiries that can come in, planning for the future. We're still, you know, seeing a lot of social business booking. Obviously, convention and corporate is all a little bit on hold. But, you know, we're trying to stay hopeful for the year ahead and everything to come. And we're ready when things get back to normal.
Awesome. Thanks, Mallory. So Jamie's up next, and then Beth Bracco's on deck. Jamie?
How's everybody? My name is Jamie Risch, and I'm the National Sales Manager with Great Wolf Resorts. We have 19 locations that are across the United States and Canada, and unfortunately, they're all closed, like much of these past few businesses that have been talking. They're closed at this time. But what we're really trying to do is focus on the future and focus on opening. One of Great Wolf's core values is we show we care. So even through this process, we've done some great things for our PAC members in terms of providing food and looking for alternative work for them while they are on furlough. So that's just another one of the unique things with Great Wolf Resorts. The one other thing that I'd like to mention is that we are actively selling. Our sales teams are activated at all of our properties. They are out there, they're engaging with meeting planners. They're really trying to work with the community and find ways to have solutions to try to book meetings into the future instead of canceling, rebooking them. So I'm excited about the topic today and have an opportunity to connect with all of you. That's it.
Thanks, Jamie. Beth Brock will be up next. Sandy Robinson is on deck. Beth?
Hi, everyone. Beth Bracco with Blue Plate Catering. Just like everyone else, we've kind of grinded to a halt and really looking to the future. Doing some emergency feeding around the city just to keep some of our employees busy and to support the community and everything. And I think right now our leadership team is really just looking at what the world's going to look like when we re-enter and how we can work smarter and more efficiently, maintain our business, retain as many employees as possible, and constantly reaching out to our venue partners and our clients just to let them know that we're thinking about them and we're ready for the world to reopen.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Sandy, you're up next, and then Dan will be after that. So Sandy.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandy Robinson. I'm with the Godfrey Hotel and the Hotel Essex. And Godfrey Hotel has 221 rooms with a beautiful rooftop. And Essex Hotel has 274 rooms, newly renovated property at 800 South Michigan with a gorgeous open air venue called SX. We're looking forward to opening, and we've definitely been in contact with a lot of our clients and making sure that they know that we are here for them whenever they do decide to come back, or whenever they can come back, whenever the city opens up. We definitely look forward to opening both of our venues up and just having all of our amazing employees come back to work.
Thanks, Sandy. And also wonderful with what you guys are doing to support first responders and everything at the hotel. So very nice of you guys.
Thank you.
So Dan is up next. And I don't know, Dan and then Todd following.
Yeah, we'll kind of combine our update. Hello, everyone. I'm Dan Conroe. I'm the marketing director at City Winery Chicago. We have 2 locations here in Chicago, one on the Chicago Riverwalk, and one here in the West Loop, where Todd and I are currently working from. We also are in 6 other cities across the United States. We are a working winery, private event space, concert hall, and restaurant, all of which have been obviously affected by COVID-19. So we have had to adjust our business. Our former business model was based on, being a gathering place for people to come together. Obviously, that's changed very quickly. So now we are offering our wine and food for delivery and carry out. To hold us over until we can welcome guests back to our locations. And I'll let Todd speak for a minute on the private event business and how he's been handling clients and taking great care of them.
Thanks,
Dan. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm Todd. I'm the event director here at City Winery. Yeah, it's been quite a ride, as you all are experiencing as well. And I think that's kind of the positive takeaway through this whole situation is we all seem to be somewhat on the same page here. So we have been able to maintain, 85% of the business that we had on the books, unfortunately, like March, April, May, June, gone, adios. So these huge numbers. I've been able to relocate at least 85% of it, whether it's in 2020, and we've also extended our force majeure and into 2021. So really our effort in coming to the table every day with our clients and these phone calls that I get is just to demonstrate us being a great partner. We're all wanting to be collaborative, and that's the feedback that we're getting back on the other side of the phone call. Yeah, we're learning a lot. That word that I've never been able to pronounce in my career, force majeure, I'm so comfortable saying it right now. So,
all right, thank you, Todd. Keisha.
Hi, everyone. I am Keisha Scott. I am the sales manager with Chicago Cubs. I'm representing Wrigley Field events. And just really quickly, over the last 2 to 3 years, a part of that 1060 project, we've launched about 20 different new spaces across our campus that are now available for game day and non-game day experiences, which encompass Wrigley Field, also Gallagher Way, and then the surrounding campus with restaurants, and then also Hotel Zachary. So a lot of great options for curating events for people for 10 all the way up to 40,000. So just like everyone else, kind of echoing how COVID-19 has affected Wrigley Field in multiple facets. So it's very interesting. Like a lot of our calls, obviously, you know, the first run of business is baseball games, and a lot of our executive teams will tell you, like, you know, we may get updates, but you may want to stay tuned to like Twitter and things like that, because they may break the news first, because that's just the world that we live in. But we have had a lot of events on the calendar, just trying to be creative with, I think probably with everyone else, just trying to keep hope and telling people, you know, let's look to postpone or reschedule, and just don't give up on like face-to-face events, and give your people something to look forward to. I know myself, I just, you know, I can't wait to go back to like a brunch, or I know moving forward, I won't turn down any more happy hours in person. So, but happy to be among everyone and kind of learn some best practices as we kind of navigate these unprecedented times. So thanks.
Thank you, Keisha. And thanks to all of our sponsors. We really appreciate your support, and obviously couldn't do this without you guys, and we couldn't produce these events for planners without you. So thank you. So in a minute, Dylan will be sending us to our virtual roundtables. You will be in each roundtable for about 10 minutes. So we encourage you to start with a quick intro, just literally everybody, name, title, company, that's it. We want to get through those intros as fast as possible. We can talk more during the happy hour later, but once you get moved into that round table, start immediately. There's a sort of an awkward pause. I'll ask that the table host sponsors just start right away with their name, title, and company, and everyone else can go around, and then we can just jump right into the panel, the table discussions. So with that, Dylan, let's get started. Please get us into our virtual roundtables.